Okay, perfect. Well, I think most people who are going to be joining are probably in now. So what I'm going to get my colleague Jenny to do is she's going to drop a poll in the chat. If you could all just quickly take a look at that. And what it's going to be is just a bit of information for us about sort of what challenges you face sort of with working, and is it around sort of booking emails? Is it sort of staying on top of tasks? That'll give us a bit of good information so that when we're doing webinars like these, hopefully means we can sort of focus on what most of you want. So I can see some good votes coming in. So it seems like a lot of sort of managing time, or split pretty evenly between managing time, coordinating with colleagues, and staying on top of tasks. So yeah, I mean, that's hopefully what we're going to be covering quite a lot of today. We've got some sort of really good information to go over. Hopefully you can take something away from it, and then from there, obviously if there's anything else you want to sort of deep dive into, we can do that, and we can sort of get that scheduled in. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through a couple of slides before we jump into it. So a bit of an introduction to Qlic IT. So who are we, what do we do, and sort of why are we relevant to the sector? So we're an IT support provider. I've seen a lot of names I recognise, a lot of them that I don't, so hopefully we've got some people who don't know who we are. But what we do is day-to-day IT support for charities. That's sort of the mainstay of our business. But what we can also do is help you with your cybersecurity, if you've got any projects coming up, website design. We sort of anything IT we're sort of focusing on, and now we sort of are working into telecoms and sort of doing the internet for buildings as well. So this slide should be updated soon to mention that. But that's sort of a really new thing that we're starting to do, so we can sort of give you all the full package. We've been specialising in the sector for around 20 years. I think we look after nearly 400 different charities across the UK. And our goal is to make sure that you're empowered to sort of make the right decisions with regards to your IT, make sure that everything you should be getting for free, you are getting for free. And the advice we give you isn't just generic advice given to anyone. It's sort of advice specific to you. So your organisation will have different needs to every other one. We want to make sure we're sort of personalising that for you. Okay, so throughout this whole webinar, there is a Q&A button up the very top. You can see some instructions here. Feel free to chuck in questions as we go through, and then sort of hopefully at the end we'll have some time where we can go through them. If a lot of people are asking similar things, we can also look at booking in webinars. Okay, so just so you're all aware of that, the Q&A button's up the top. Okay, and then what are we going to be covering today? Obviously, as the poll suggests, it's going to be quite a lot around sort of managing time, making sure that, I know a lot of you probably seem to have the same problem as me, where if you sit a lot of meetings, it's almost like your sort of calendar is managing you rather than you managing your calendar. So hopefully we can go over some points that will show you sort of how to get out of that habit and sort of make the time work for you to make sure you've got as much time as possible to be doing things like your emails, helping the team, so you don't just sit in meetings for the whole day as well. Okay, I'm sure everyone knows why productivity matters. Obviously, you can sort of gain time back, and if you're being more productive, you're saving time. That time can be spent elsewhere, and hopefully the resources you have are better allocated rather than just stuck on one project for all of their time. Okay, I'm going to come out of this now, and what we're going to do, we're going to jump straight into some demos. I'm just going to delete this off. Okay, so obviously, as I mentioned, I spend far too much time in meetings. So what I want to start off with doing is just showing everyone a couple of different settings that hopefully will allow you to sort of claw some of that time back. Okay, so what we're going to do, pretty much everything we're doing today is going to be done from the Outlook application. It's the same for the web. It's just easier for me to show it on here. And we're going to do quite a lot of the settings button up the top here. So to start with, what we're going to be doing is going to settings. And then we're going to go to, sorry, let me just work out. Calendar, events and invitations. Okay, so what this is going to do, if we shorten duration for events, we can decide if we want events to start early or end late. So you may find that I get it all the time. Okay, I've booked a meeting in for an hour for someone, and I'll send them an email at the same time. They'll say, hopefully it won't take that long. Well, I hope it doesn't take that long, and I'm sure everyone else is the same. So why don't we, instead of scheduling meetings for 30 minutes, for an hour, we can then shorten those. We can either have it end early or we can have it start late. But there's no point in starting a meeting late. I would rather start it on the hour or on the half an hour and end early, so I can sort of have that 10, 15 minutes to allocate where I need to. Then what we can do for any meetings less than an hour, we can have them end 5 minutes early, 8 minutes early, 10 minutes early. So let's do 10 minutes early here. And then for anything 1 hour or longer, let's have it end 15 minutes early. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to save this, and then we'll show you sort of what that changes. So that's saved now. If I go to my calendar, when I'm now creating a meeting, so let's create something for tomorrow. I'm just going to expand this so you can also see a bit better. Instead of being a 9 to 9:30 meeting, like I'm sure all of you see all of the time, and your meetings are just booked out non-stop, you'll now see that it'll be about half an hour. You can still select half an hour, and you can still select an hour, but they're going to be around that. So you can see you saving 15 minutes. It's just a quick win that I know I need to start using, because my calendar doesn't look too full today, but you look a couple weeks back, it's every minute of the day is filled out. And I find that if you've got a meeting booked in for an hour, you're sitting here for an hour. If you've got it booked in for 40 minutes, you're sitting there for 40 minutes. Okay, and then sort of a couple of other things we can do also around the calendar. So we can go to settings and we can set our work days. So I'm sure not everyone here works the standard Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5 that Microsoft says you do. So let's have a look. You can select the days you work. And I know a lot of people here, you may be part-time, you may sort of work half days, and we can select all of that here. So it saves if someone in the office is saying, okay, where's Janice today? Is she working? You can have this set. So, okay, I'm only now going to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can set if you're going to be in the office or if you're going to be remote. I'm going to leave mine because obviously I use this for my work as well. So I work 8:30 to 5. You can select what days you are in the office, that you're working from home, and we can even split these out. So let's say maybe on a Monday from 8:30 to lunchtime, I'm going to be in the office, and then from 1 o'clock to 5, which is when my work day ends, I'm going to be remote. So then you can save that, and what you'll see, if I then go to my calendar, it's now going to show you sort of where staff are meant to be on those days. So it saves the confusion of, okay, is Oliver going to be in the office today? Anyone who has access to my calendar will be able to see this. And if you go to the month, you'll see it a bit better, because it will, obviously I've just changed it, it will tell you where I am on those days. So today I'm going to be in the office. I'm working from home today, as I'm sure you can tell I've got a bit of a cold, but I should be in the office tomorrow and then working at home on Thursday. So it sort of gives everyone else a bit of an indication of where you're going to be and when, and then it saves, for me, it saves a lot of, okay, for my manager, are you going to be in the office on Thursday so we can have a chat? He can just look at my calendar and he's going to know, and then he'll know I'll be in on Thursday. Okay, so sort of coming away from this for a bit, I'm sure quite a lot of people, speaking of meetings, I get it all the time where someone will message me and say, hey, okay, are you free at 10 o'clock on Tuesday? And then I'll say, no, can you do 1 o'clock on Thursday? And sort of how can we break that? And the answer, as I'm sure a lot of you have seen in the past, that I've spoken about it quite a lot, is bookings. And I know I've mentioned you can go through the web and you can set up your own bookings page. But every single person in this meeting with your Microsoft license will have access to a bookings page. And then how can we get there? So again, everything's through the settings. Pretty much everything we do today is through the settings. There's other ways to get there if you're used to other ways, but the truth is it doesn't really change anything. So what can we do? We can go to calendar, and then we can say bookings with me. So to save any of the back and forth of I'm free at this time, when are you free? what we can do, we can set up a bookings page, and we can even add that to our signatures. Okay, so what we're going to see here, you'll have a link here. Everyone's link will be the same. It will just take you to your own bookings page, and you'll see that as standard, Microsoft will give you sort of 2 or 3 sometimes meetings, whether they're half an hour, and then we can go in and change those. So you'll see, as standard, I've got a 30-minute meeting here. You can edit all of this, so you can sort of personalize it to your organization. You can edit the banner through an image. I won't be doing this because I prefer to sort of have the conversation with the customer, usually on the phone, to book something in. But this is more, so I would use this page here for sort of internal meetings, where I'm sure all my colleagues will know that I work for Qlic as well. What you can do, you can sort of click into this, and then you can sort of edit what this meeting's for. So you can rename the meeting. So you could name it 30-minute meeting. You can have this public. So let's say you want to be sharing this with anyone external from your organization. They'll all be able to see it. Or you can have a private meeting where only people within your organization, within the same tenant, will be able to book in. And then you can also edit how long the meeting's for, whether you want this to be on Teams. If you turn off Teams, you can put a location, whether it's sort of in the office. But I'm sure a lot of people with sort of today's working, a lot of meetings are going to be sort of booked in for Teams. So we'll leave it on Teams. And then what you can do, as we did before, we've changed our work hours within Outlook. So you can use your regular meeting hours, which will be off the Outlook, or you can use customized one. Let's say if you don't want to have a meeting first thing, or you don't want to have it last thing in the afternoon, you can sort of change this. So you can say what days, whether you want your last meeting to be booked in at 4, and then you can sort of delete off the days you don't want. But what does that look like for anyone who's booking in a meeting with you? Well, let's have a look. What we can do, we can copy this link, and if we open a new tab, we can go to the link, and hopefully you'll see here that I've got some availability. Will take a second to load up. So look, this is my bookings, Oliver Bradshaw's booking page. Okay, and when have I got times available? I'm fairly booked out. Someone could book in a meeting at 2 o'clock with me tomorrow. And that's sort of a really quick and easy way to sort of save the back and forth of, I'm free at this time, when are you free? But what else can we do? Maybe you'll find that you want to add this to your email signature, which you can do through here. And we centrally manage all of our signatures, but I know a lot of people don't do that. So you will already have a signature here. And then what you can do, I'll just grab some details. Let's create a really sort of basic signature here. And we'll call it sig. And then what we can do here is you'll get another line here that will say bookings with me, and you'll have a link to that bookings page. So another thing that you'll find, sort of another way of booking in meetings, will be there can, if you're in a long email chain and sort of people are going back and forth saying, oh look, let's book in a meeting. What you can do, you can go to your calendar. Obviously, let me change this to the week. What most people will do, they'll go to the calendar, they'll open it up, invite attendees. So maybe I'll add Jenny, maybe I'll add Jack, and then if it's off the back of an email, you have to fill all of this in yourself. Add a title. Obviously, if you're sending 4 or 5 of these a day, and it's all off the back of emails, which most of the time it is, there's a much better way of doing this. What we can do, we can discard this. I already got Jenny to sort of send me an email earlier today. So what we can do from the back of here will be, up the top here, I've got a button that says manage it with Copilot. Yours will be reply with a meeting. Just because we've got Copilot, it'll be on here. And then you'll see it'll put AI notes, but you'll just have sort of an email chain that will be put in. But what will happen is anyone who included in this email thread is going to get invited to this, and then it's going to automatically put in follow-up call for webinar. Yours will put just webinar because it will just go off of this, but this is just Copilot doing its thing. And then what we can do, we can then sort of book in a time. So we could say, okay, yep, let's do a follow-up 10 a.m. tomorrow, and then we can decide to send that. There is a much better way of doing it that I'll show you shortly, but just so we'll come back to that. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so another feature within Calendar, you'll see this looks horrible, and the more meetings you've got, if they're all in red, it starts getting a lot to sort of work around, plan for. You don't know what can be moved, what can't be moved. So what can we do here? So as you can see, I've got lunch in a different color. Maybe we should change all of our meetings to have different colors, different categories. And how can we do that? So we're sort of managing our calendar, like I was saying, rather than it managing you. So what we can do, if we go to settings again, and then calendar, accounts and categories, we can start adding categories in here. So I've got low importance, internal, external meetings already booked on. What we can do, we can create new, you can give it a name. So you may even just name them sort of calendar internal. And it just sort of allows you to better plan your calendar, and we can save that to a card. Then what we'll notice when we come into here, we can start changing all of these, and it's really helpful. I know in the sector, a lot of people wear different hats, and I'm sure you can all relate. You'll be looking at all of these meetings. So let's say tomorrow, if you're more booked out than I am, it looks even worse. But you'll see, with it all in red, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing. So I don't know if these are internal meetings, external meetings, and then what can we do with those? So what we can do, we can categorize them, and then for this one tomorrow, I know this is going to be an external meeting. I think my external is red, so that's not very helpful. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, so now I know that that's going to be an external meeting, but you may have that to be your marketing meetings. You may have it to be your management, your sort of private meetings. And what this allows us to do, I know this is one's going to be, oops, let me categorize that. Yeah, so that'll be internal. And now, knowing that this is internal, it means that these meetings are the ones that aren't low importance, but I can move around if I need to. So let's say customers are always going to take priority over internal meetings for me. I can then move this to tomorrow, because I know that if a customer wants to book from 2:30 to 4:30, I will be able to book something in. So it's just another way of sort of managing your calendar, and you can do this with all of them. I never do because I'm colorblind and it doesn't really change anything for me. But you could do that, and it sort of helps you not only manage your workflow, like I say, but just sort of claw back any time that you need to. So let's say, okay, I've met with someone tomorrow. There was quite a lot of points that I need to sort of follow up on. Okay, I don't have enough time. Well, I know that these colors can be moved, so maybe I push my lunch back, and then this internal meeting, it's going to be with my colleague Neil. Maybe I can push that back to tomorrow, and then it sort of allows you to move around the less important parts of your calendar and sort of manage them a lot better. Okay, and then sort of while we're here, I think it's a good point to discuss as well. I know I have it quite a lot. We'll sit in a meeting with someone, sort of 15, 20 minutes in, you'll notice, okay, we've actually not started talking about anything. We've been talking about what Jack had for dinner, what Jenny's doing on the weekend, and now we've only got 15 minutes left. We've run out of time for the meeting. So let's say a meeting, I met with Jack yesterday. What can I do? We need to follow up with some more time because we barely spoke. Okay, so we can either duplicate event here, and it just saves us remaking the whole event. And if this was booked in off the back of an email, it would all be filled in here, like I showed you before with the Copilot. And then let's say, okay, this time I want to duplicate the event, but we decided that we actually needed Jenny to join us. So we can add Jenny, and then we can sort of select a time that will work. And I think this brings us quite nicely onto, okay, if I invite them both, we're now getting into the territory of we're potentially having 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 members of this team joining this one meeting. How do we know when everyone's free? And there is a really good way that I don't know many people use, and it's called scheduling poll. So you can do that from a fresh meeting, from a meeting like this where we've sort of duplicated it. But it's there. I'm just going to show you from a sort of a fresh meeting so we know. I'm just going to discard this because what I've got Jenny to do was just send me a test email. So from the back of here, okay, let me book in a follow-up call. So we're going to follow up from this webinar, so we'll see how it went. What I can do up here, I'll click on this button, and it's going to automatically add everyone. It's going to give me a title, and then AI, in my case, is going to do its thing and sort of give us an agenda to run through the webinar. Okay, and like I said, I can either select a time that I can do, or we can look what other people can do, and you can do that through scheduling poll. So what you'll see here is this is only for internal, so for internal meetings. It still works for external, it will just say they're unavailable, or it will say that there's no data. What we can do, we can click into each of these and sort of see, okay, 4 people are available, Jenny's not. And then you can either flick through day by day, so you see sort of as it's changing, 2 people unavailable here. Obviously, the way we work, we may have to go sort of a week in advance to try and get something where everyone's available. But obviously, it's the case that some people are always going to be away. What the point of this is going to be, we can now select multiple times. So rather than just saying, okay, maybe we can do 10 a.m. on the 13th, maybe we'd rather do it sooner, but not everyone can make it. Oh. Maybe we do Friday. And then let's give a couple of times. Then we can do next. It's going to give you the different times you've selected. It's going to be a Teams meeting. Then we can manage poll settings. So one that I like to turn off is to require attendees to verify their identity. Because it's internal, all of the people in here know that they're going to be getting this from me. I'd rather turn this off. What it does is it just sends you a little code that will say, can you verify your identity? It's sort of basically 2FA. But in this case, I won't need it. I can then create the poll. Then it's going to sort of prepare an email for me that I can then send off. And you'll see on here, it will allow people to vote. I can write over it and say everyone select a time. But it's really useful. And then I'll show you what you see on the other side. So as receiving it, let's have a look. I got Jack to send me one earlier. And then you'll see he sent me over a scheduling poll. I can then vote on here when I can do. And it's going to pull you up into a new tab. Give this a second to load. Okay, and then it's going to give me the different times that Jack's sort of selected on there. What he'll do is he'll look when most people can do, select those sort of dates and times. Then I can say all of the times I can do. And in this instance, it's saying that I'm free on all of them, but maybe I'd rather do it at 10 a.m. And then I can sort of send my vote. And because I'm the only person on this vote, what it's going to do is automatically going to send me and Jack an email. It's going to send us a calendar invite for 10 a.m. based on what he's just set up. If there was multiple people, what Jack could then do is look on here and sort of, so he'll get something very similar to this. He can view all of the polls, and then he can sort of see who's voted what times, and then he can just sort of forward that on. So you'll see this is the one I've just sent over. If I click into it, when can people do? Okay, I'm the only one that's voted yes for them so far. But then once Jenny, Jack, and Ray voted, I would then be able to hit schedule meeting, and it's going to send all of us a meeting for sort of the time that the most people could do. Okay, so hopefully that shows you a bit more around sort of how scheduling meetings works and sort of different ways of doing it, rather than just, I know what I have got into the habit of doing is, okay, when can I do? I'll have to then go to calendar, have a look when I can do. I then go back to email, and it gets rid of it. And if you've got a long chain of emails here, it gets lost in the ether. But there is some other ways we can do this. So this button up here, you can hit your calendar, and it pulls it up on a side pane. And this is really good if you've got one screen. While replying to the email, I could then have a look through and say, okay, when can I do on the 6th? Okay, it looks like I'm fairly booked out. But you sort of see where we're building, and as with Microsoft, there's so many different ways of doing everything. So another way we can do it, maybe I've got two screens, and I much prefer to have one screen for the Outlook and then one screen for the calendar. So what can we do there? We can right click on the calendar and we can open a new window. And what that's going to do is going to open us the calendar. And then that's going to be completely separate. Obviously, what I'm going to do here is put them sort of side by side, but if I've got two screens, three screens, I could have that on a different page. or just have it minimized for when people are going to ask me sort of when I'm free. So I've got a bar up the top from sharing my screen. Okay. So again, it's just sort of different ways of doing things. It's not necessarily the best way. I'd encourage sort of everyone to go away and sort of play around with a lot of these, see if it's something that can be useful to you. I guarantee that at least the scheduling meetings is something that I don't think we've covered before, but is massively beneficial. And I've been using it lately for email chains where there's 10 people in there. And a lot of the time you get back, okay, what is this? Do you have to pay for it? And the answer was no, it's included within all of your licensing. Okay, so that covers sort of scheduling polls. A couple of other things that I want to talk about is sort of out of offices and what we can do around there. Because I know a lot of the time people will call our support line and say, okay, so-and-so is going to be out of the office from this time, not knowing that they can not only set up their own out of office. So what you do, sorry, I went over that quickly. You can go to settings and then you go to accounts and then automatic replies. We can set up an automatic replies. We can do it for a time period. So let's say from Monday to Friday next week, maybe I'm going to Spain and I don't want to be sitting in any meetings. I can then select when I'm going to be gone. It's going to be 8:30 on the 5th, and I'm not going to come back. Well, let's just do my full day on the 9th. We can block your calendar for this period. So we select yes. We can then set a title, so we can say holiday. And what it's going to do is, rather than just from today onwards, so if I didn't select a time period, it's just going to start sending everyone an email saying that I'm on annual leave. It's going to send this email to everyone, but within this time period, it's only going to send you those. You can automatically decline new meetings that are sent to you over that period, and if you hit yes, what it's going to do is going to send them this message. So it's going to say, I'm out of office from so-and-so. This is just one that I've typed up, so this is for internal. And then you can cancel meetings that are already set. And this is a good one. So when you're going on holiday, I'd recommend you do this, because then it's going to look at your calendar. Okay, and what have I got booked in for that time period? I can then see, okay, obviously it's bank holiday. I've already booked that out. I can see different meetings with different people. And then what I can do from there, I can select the ones I want to decline. And then I can set the email that I want to go to them to say, look, I'm going to be on annual leave. Let's schedule this. And you could even put in your bookings links. They can then sort of schedule a meeting for a time that suits them, looking at your calendar for when you're free. You then separately, you can do replies outside of organization, which is a lot of more professional looking out of office, rather than just, I'm out of office, talk to one of the other account managers. This is sort of more customer facing, so then you can personalize it and sort of point them in the directions they need to go for different services. Okay, so that sort of covers out of office. But what's something else we can do? I know a lot of the time you'll get, I know I do, I get a lot of emails that ask me the same questions, and I get it all of the time, especially lately. I'm sure everyone knows Windows 10 is becoming end of life in October 25. So a lot of my customers, or all of my customers, we've reached out to them and said, look, these devices are going to be end of life. This is the implication. But then sometimes people sort of still come back and say, okay, what happens if I don't replace this device? And I've typed that email out countless times to sort of 30 different customers. What can we do to make sure that I don't need to then go, every time I send that email again, I go to send, I find the email that I last sent, copy and paste it. Well, what we can do is something called email templates. And this is a really useful thing. So let me actually open my Outlook. Okay. And you may find, so when you do a new email, let me open this up in a new pane. I prefer not to have everything behind it, because it gets a bit more confusing. So you can see I set my email signature before, which I need to change after this. We have shared email templates. So we have an extra product that allows sort of my whole team to have email templates that we can all share with each other, and there is hundreds on here. So 114 under just my sort of department. but your personal ones, what can we do there? So you may not see it up the top here, but what we're looking for is something called My Templates, and you'll either find it up the top, or you can click on this Enhance Outlook with Apps, and this is on the old version of Outlook and the new version of Outlook. We can click on it. You'll see My Templates, and you can right-click on that and pin it to your ribbon here. Then you'll see, hopefully, yep, we've got templates here. I haven't got any templates. This is just ones that Microsoft have given. What we can do, we can add a template. So as I was saying around Windows 10, I get a question a lot. So I think I've deleted that one off. Let me take this one, for example. So this is for sort of a laptop quote. A lot of the time we'll get asked to procure a laptop, which is absolutely fine, but we need to sort of find out more information, make sure the new user's set up. And there's sort of a lot of information you can give. So rather than just sort of retyping this out every time, what we can do, we can copy and paste an example where I've already proofread it. I already know that it makes sense, that I'm happy with it. And then we can create a template. We can paste this in here, and then we can say laptop quote. We can save this, and then what it's going to allow us to do is, now I'm going to send someone an email. I can click on it. It's going to automatically put it in here. So I'm sure everyone can see how useful this would be. There's probably 30, 40 different things that you could have an email template for. And it's just to cut down on the time where you're searching back through emails, trying to find the templates, sending them. I know that a lot of people sort of have emails where they've saved them to their SharePoint, so you can sort of send them. This is just another way of doing that. And I think because obviously it's integrated within Outlook, it's much better. And like I was saying, you can add as many templates as you want, and these are all your personal templates. So it's not anything that's going to be shared with the team. Like I was saying before, we have a different product, which is shared email templates, and it allows us to sort of share them with other account managers, the solution team, the marketing team, and then we can sort of see who has access to those. But you don't need to do that. This is just that sort of the more advanced version of just setting up templates to start with. Okay, I'm just going to come off of that. Just going to see if there's anything else I wanted to go over here, because I know that was sort of quite a lot, and hopefully it gives you some sort of different ways of using your calendar, managing your workflow, sort of booking in meetings, because I know that's probably where most people spend all of their time, is sort of doing the admin work, and hopefully sort of cutting back on the admin work will allow you to sort of do more with the organization and with sort of the resources at your disposal as well. I think that's all of the questions though. So hopefully that was a sort of good webinar, and we sort of were able to go over at least a lot of what was going to be useful for you all. Obviously any feedback you've got, please send across to me. And if anyone wants to book in sort of a free consultation, I know Jenny put the link in the chat, so please feel free to book it in, and we'll sort of get something in the diary. But other than that, thank you everyone for joining, and hopefully it was good for you.